So guys, let's jump into the effects section in Serum. This is where we add the source to our meal and add the finesse to our sound. First up, if we click on the effects section here, at the top we're presented with 10 different effects. And the first one is the hyper dimension effect. So this effect basically enhances the stereo width and the perceived size of the sound by creating a detuned unison-like effect. And this is very similar to the oscillator where we're adding different layers. So say if I had 10 layers of the saw wave here on the oscillator, if I go into the effects section and take that up to 7, I have actually in total 70 different saws playing. We can also detune them by spreading them out across the stereo field there, the same way we do with the oscillator. So detuning is, and this obviously makes one huge super saw sound. Then we have the rate here, which basically is the rate of modulation of those different saw waves being detuned. Then we have the retrig button here, which gets all those different saw waves starting at the same spot. So added onto this effect is the dimension expander, which is a delayed effect which adds a delayed stereo phase effect to that sound. If I've got the mix completely down here, we won't hear that effect. And if I bring the mix all the way up, we can hear the sounds getting a lot larger there, almost like a reverb effect. So next up we have the distortion effects. We have 3 here, the tube, the soft clip and the asium. Now these ones are more of a saturation and they just slightly increase the fullness of that sound. And then the rest of these are your more harder distortions, hard clip. So then we got the drive knob here, which increases the volume of our effect. So the rest of these distortions are better for your more techno, drum and bass and dub sounds. So the synth effect is quite an interesting effect because you can, you can really modulate. So you could have an LFO on that one. So to demonstrate that effect in action, we could have a slightly plucky bass sound here. And then we could bring in the effects, bring in the distortion, have it on the synth fold. So then we have the EQ here, and it's on the off position at the moment. So it's directly affecting that oscillator. Have it on pre, so it's before it goes into the distortion. Set to low pass there. We could set it to high pass. And then post, so that could be after it goes into the distortion. So next up we have the flanger effect, which creates a sweeping sound by mixing the input signal with a delayed version of itself. So you have the rate here, which can be set to the BPM or not, so it's just running freely at the moment. Or you can set it to the BPM, so it would go at 120 beats per minute. So if I have the depth knob turned up and then I have the feed turned up, you get quite a metallic effect. So by pushing up the depth knob, I can actually increase the effect of the feed. So then we have the phaser effect. So the phaser has similar controls to the flanger, where left and right waveforms are pushed out of sync to create this sweeping effect. Again, we have a rate knob, depth knob, and we can set that to the BPM as well. So the phaser is again good for adding movement to a sound, say a pad sound that you wanted to stretch out, where you have it constantly changing its sound dynamics, or you could layer it behind a distortion to create this sort of effect, to a bass sound. If I turn it off, just going through straight through the distortion. If I turn it on. So moving on, we have the chorus effect, and the chorus effect is basically adding a quiet effect to our sound. So to explain it, a bunch of string sounds would be layered up with their start point at very slightly different start points, i.e. out of sync, and then we get this orchestral effect. We have the rate knob here, which determines the rate at which the modulations occur. Next to this we have the delay knob, which sets how in sync these string sounds are with delay 2 as well. So the further we bring those delays down, the less the effect we'll have, and the further we bring them up, the more we'll have the affected sound. Then we have the low pass filter here. If we bring it down, we get more of the low signal. We take it up, we get the high signal brought in. So like the phaser effect, this effect will work the same way, in which if we turn the depth knob up and the feed up, we'll get quite a metallic sound there. So the chorus is a great effect for adding more body to the sound, making it sound wider again. So say if I had a basic pluck sound here, I could add the chorus and get a bit more width on the sound. So lastly guys, we have the delay, compressor, reverb, EQ and filter, which I won't go into too much as they do pretty much the same as they do in your DAW, and it's just a case of adding these subtly to your sound. So the mix knob on each acts as the dry and wet for our sound. So this one was a delay, for example, so we'll bring the delay all the way in, get the full effect of that, and we'll bring the mix back. So the delay has left and right affected signal paths here, which you can see. So put that on BPM, we can increase that up to 1 bar and that on to 1/4 bar. Then you have your reverb here, which is quite a basic one in Serum, which has the usual plate and hall reverb effects. So that's the effects section in a nutshell, and let's move on to the sync now.